There it is.
Yeah, it looks like we're live now.
Yeah, we're good to go. Hey guys, how's everybody doing tonight? My name is TJ. This is Dan, Kriss.
Hey guys, how's it going, friends? Y'all doing all right? I know it's been a while since I've been on here, but glad to be back on again. It's been quite a year, but we're very happy to tell you about it.
Oh yeah, and this is going to be the first in a series of Tuesday Twofers that Dan and I get together and we just kind of talk about the State of Dan Kriss games, some of the games that we've got coming out. Tonight we're actually going to be talking about something that I've been posting a lot about in the Gamer Guild and on our page. I've been posting a couple of pictures of the Fairies expansion, and that's actually the next expansion for Tavern Masters, and it comes with patron cards, song cards, some dirty deeds, and goods and services and everything like that. And it actually introduces a new mechanic into the game. But one of my favorite parts about it is it also adds in a little thing we call tavern signs.
That's the add-on.
It is an add-on?
Oh, okay. Separate, yeah.
Okay, never mind. But we'll also talk about that. And we're going to talk about a couple of different ways that we might be able to get this to you, just kind of based off of some of the things that we're working on now. This is more just kind of like an informational kind of fact, giving you some facts about what's going on right now.
Yeah, kind of catching back up. It's been a while since we've been able to get on here, getting set up in this new space. So right now we're just kind of working off the phone, but in a couple of weeks, hopefully we should finally be moved. It's taken about 6 months trying to get this move done. But we'll finally be able to get the office set up, and then we'll have a nice new space to start doing these recordings from, doing some other fun videos from, some playthroughs, some how to plays, all kinds of great new content.
And not just our stuff too. We're actually going to probably play some other games, like maybe like some Fireball Island.
Yeah, we might take a look at some classic games as well that we love, stuff that inspired us, stuff that we just still enjoy playing. We're talking about other stuff too. I mean, it's the world's our oyster, right?
Oh yeah. So. One of the ideas that I've had recently was actually do a traditional tabletop, like a 3.5 or Pathfinder, but based in the world of Destiny, and that's something that Dan and I have talked a lot about over the past 2 or 3 months. When we have some downtime, when he's not working on other stuff, we'll just sit and talk about the setting for where Tavern Masters takes place, and some of our upcoming games actually do take place. It's in the world of Destiny, and it's when Dan and I first started talking about it, it was more of like I always thought of it as your typical high fantasy environment. But as we started delving deeper and deeper into the different races and their history and stuff like that, it kind of takes that stereotypical high fantasy trope and just kind of turns it on its head. So Dan, I mean, basically one of the things that stands out the most to me is how the dwarves are actually able to use magic. Most of your high fantasy settings don't really have any type of attunement with magic, and some of the ways that we've discussed how that actually works is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, in these earliest myths and whatnot, dwarves most commonly were from like the Norse myths, like the Prose Eddas and whatnot, and they were always magical beings. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the fact that they couldn't use magic, that was literally something that's kind of instituted with D&D and whatnot, to kind of balance out their, overtly extra power, like in strength and whatnot, and their smaller stature. But, I mean, again, also, not just with that, but that's the kind of stereotype that we're looking to break in the world of Destiny. Like, if you see an orc, I mean, there might be orcs that happen to live out in the woods and maybe even raid in bands, but there's also orcs that work in the cities as florists, or are senators in the city, the capital city of Orin. And so try and break away from the tropes while at the same time giving nod to certain things here and there. But the main idea is to make a fantasy world that everyone can imagine and play in. Like, we're trying to build a giant sandbox world and give everybody all the information that we can, but leave plenty of room for them to kind of come up with their own stuff too. And then, of course, work with other creators and content people and whatnot that want to make stuff that would then be canon for the world as well. I mean, like, we're looking to build something fun for all of us to just enjoy.
Yeah, it's a new area to exist in and create new stories, create new adventures, create new characters that we all love. I mean, because nobody had really ever heard of anything like Forgotten Realms. I mean, yeah, they'd heard of it and played in it, but it really caught that mass appeal when R.A. Salvatore dipped into the world and wrote the Drow series.
Well, anytime you cross into new media platforms, you're going to find new audiences and whatnot, and the more immersion you have, the more it feels real, the more you want to stay and play in those worlds. That's why we did the Tavern Masters soundtrack. That's why we're gonna do the soundtrack for the World of Destiny. We even have our own World of Destiny theme. I mean, how cool is that, right? Like, it's our official theme, and I mean, I'd hold that song up there with like some of the better games or movies.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people may not realize this, but the World of Destiny is very expansive. I mean, and you really, when you start looking at it, one of the games that we're going to be talking about in a little bit actually takes place in a different part of Destiny that has its own organizational structure and its own ruling class and everything like that. And the way that the main setting is where we envision Tavern Masters being is there's a lot of diplomatic relations and trade and everything like that. Dan and I have gotten kind of nerdy with it, going insofar as talking about trade routes and regional dialect and stuff like that. It's
shipping policies. We talked about shipping policies.
Shipping policies. But based out of that, we've developed kind of not necessarily a big bad, but something that will eventually become a big bad that crosses regions, that crosses the entire continent.
And that's just one little. I mean, that's just.
Oh yeah, and that's just one little facet of it. That's just something that we've been focusing on because we've kept it really loose up until now.
And the World of Destiny overall is really, like, when we say the World of Destiny in our games and stuff, it's really more referencing the Northern Realms and the time of the Kingdom of Eldaron, which is our main fun setting. I mean, that's instead of having, like, every fantasy kingdom is always like, oh, it was once a time of greatness and heroes, and now the world is burning, or whatever, or there's a darkness on the horizon. Instead, we try and take the approach that with the Kingdom of Eldaron, they're building more and more of a golden age. And they're doing so, problems arise and challenges arise. There's even a holy war that took place about 100 years ago, current time as far as in the world where we are now.
Yeah, where we're playing
like 1200-ish NE, which stands for Novum Aurora, or NA.
Cool.
Stands for Novum Aurora. Anyway, but the point is like, when you go back in the history of the world, there's whole different regions and time spans that kind of hit a lot of different tropes so that you can find and tell the kind of stories you want to anyway. But we can get into all that in future videos.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do a whole series where we just talk about the lore and the history of Destiny and everything like that. But what I expect most of you are here or are watching for is for us to talk about Tavern Masters
and the Fairy expansion. Which I've been working on for a couple of years now, and I'm glad to finally see it all prototyped and working. And it's been a lot of fun. I wish that things were a little more open right now, so I could bring it out to show you guys, take it to all of my usual haunts and show it off. But soon enough, hopefully we'll the world will become a safer place again, and we can all convene around the gaming table and share drinks and jokes and whatever else.
Just to kind of preface what we're going to be talking about here, before I met Dan, I was really never into card games or anything like. Yeah, I played Magic back in high school, and I sucked at it. I played the kitsch stuff, Monopoly, Risk, and all that. But then I was hanging out. Dan, our friend Robbie, Dan, and I started hanging out, and they invited me over to play test a game, and it was another game that we're going to talk about later, but after we had play tested that, after the marathon 5-hour gaming session we had there, they pulled out Tavern Masters, and Tavern Masters is actually what hooked me into working for Dan and being interested in games and how they're built, how they're made, what you can do with them, and just seeing the amount of growth that Dan has already planned and is working on. Tavern Masters has the opportunity to be one of the most expansive card games that I've ever played, or that anyone's ever played. So the Fairies expansion actually adds a new mechanic into it, and it's actually pretty awesome because it gives you another set of currency that you can use to take other actions during your turn with some of the patrons that you have, and it adds in some more dirty deeds for those of you who like to play PvP style. Adds in a song card. I don't remember the actual total of what gets added in there, but it adds an entirely new layer to the game. And
Well,
we've play tested it probably 4 or 5 times now, maybe a little
a
bit
bit more than that. Like since we got the prototype in, we've run through it a couple of times at least, for sure.
And
it'll get a lot more just to make sure. But
the first time we did it, we were those of us that hadn't actually developed it and didn't work it up in our brain, it took a little bit for us to get into it. But the second game, we were running through things real quick. The new mechanic just slid right in real easy. So Dan, if you want to go ahead and talk about the new mechanic, the buttons. That's not a button. This is a button. It adds in buttons as a new currency. No, I don't know what this is, but it adds in buttons as a new type of currency, which is pretty on point, pretty on the nose for fairies.
They're just little wooden buttons we got from Walmart, but we do plan for the expansion when it comes out to have a nice little set of wooden buttons. That are the official wooden buttons or whatever. So to tell you about it, first we do add in some new goods to the tavern deck, a number of them as a matter of fact, including some new variations on the old classics. Like for instance, we got the blackberry mead right here. So we got another mead. So it adds a couple more meads into the deck to help fit with the growing tavern deck. Of course, there's an ale and a strawberry wine, the elderberry ale.
There's elderberry ale.
It has a couple of fun goods and stuff too. Like for instance, we even have toadstools, so you have somewhere for them to sit. Yeah,
that's rad.
But you get some staff too. The fairy barmaid, for instance, is really cool. She counts as a wench, and you can play her for 2 gold, or if you have any maid. And she gain 1 gold anytime you play a drink to your tavern that is not already in your tavern. I mean, it's pretty fun, Black cherry brandy, and we even have brambleberry pie. You'll be seeing some more pastries coming up. For those of you who happen to get Sixpence Bakery and got the blackbird pie in there, you'll see it counts as a pastry. You'll see some more pastries with this, and the eventually upcoming Yule expansion.
Oh yeah,
the Yuletide expansion.
I'm in that one. I'm a card in that one.
Yeah, that's true. And so, but you'll find that a lot of the new items are named after berries, and there's a reason for that, and that is because fair folk, they go in the patron deck. However, they don't count technically as patrons; they count as fair folk, which is why they look different. And they have a different border and all that. Sorry, again, we're just working with phone technology right now. But
don't want to give everything away.
Yeah.
Want them to be somewhat surprising.
Whenever you get a fair folk, you still have to play them by their want, which is all fair folk want berry. So if you have anything that is a berry type thing, you can play them. And then you play them to your tavern. All of them have a different like. Like, for instance, the Woodland Pixie likes mead. And also all of them, or most all of them, have an ability where you can pay them a button to do something, a wooden button. Like this one, the Woodland Pixie, you can pay her a button to draw an additional patron. And then at the end of each round, during counting the till, for each of the fair folk, you're going to roll a special fair folk die. Or the vanish die, or whatever we end up calling it in the end. But basically it's a die. It's a custom die where you have 3 wooden buttons, like a wooden button taking up 3 sides, gold taking up 2 sides, and just kind of a vanish explosion thing taking up 1 side. So you roll for each of the fair folk to see if they pay you or not during counting the till. And if you roll a wooden button, then they just pay you a wooden button. If you roll a gold, then they pay you the gold that a patron normally would. And if you roll the vanish, then they just disappear because they're fairies. So they basically just took the drink and ran. And we have a couple of other fun, with tons of fairies, right? And so many of them, like between getting the buttons and all that kind of stuff, it makes a whole little mini economy to where if you have fairies in your tavern, they'll do different things for you. And again, each of them likes something different and interesting. So, that there's always a chance that you'll have the thing that keeps them hanging around your tavern as long as they don't just vanish.
Yeah. And not only is it the expansion doesn't just include just fair folk as far as your patrons. I mean,
you got some patrons too, of course.
Yeah, you've got some regular patrons. You've got the Frog Prince. That's actually one of my favorites because that's one of my favorite stories because I was a frog prince and then found a pretty lady. So that's pretty cool. He likes maids. He wants any wench. So he counts as a noble and royal if you have any maid in your tavern. So if he counts as a noble and royal, does that count as like a royal mead? Or
No. It just counts as the terms noble and royal.
Oh, okay.
So he would count as a noble patron, so he'd pay you too. But also, he count so for instance, things that like royal means they like royal guards. royal,
okay.
royal this, royal
Gotcha.
that. It's
Gotcha.
all about the name rule.
Okay. Oh, I see here, because the Elven Prophetess.
Oh yeah, and there's a number of elves in here too, because we weren't gonna get away from fairies without having some elves in the patron deck too. So we got like the Elven Royal Guard, for instance.
Yeah.
The Elven Prophetess. Ooh, here's a noble.
Adds in the Elven Prince. I like the art on that one. I really like the art on that one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Elven Prince is a noble patron. He likes games, and you gain an additional one from each royal in your tavern this round. So
if you got like a royal guard.
So if you had the Frog Prince, you would get an extra gold in there as well. Let's see. Oh yeah, and as I'm looking through, I haven't seen all the cards yet. I mean, we've played with some, but I'm actually in the middle of building a tavern, so like we've got the Dusk Pixie.
Yeah.
She
likes guard.
She likes guard,
and she you can pay her a button to play any thug from your hand, a discard, or the market for free. Now, here's one thing to mention. A lot of these fairies will have an ability where it'll say, play this from your hand, a discard, or the market. Mm-hmm. Now, in the fairies expansion itself, it doesn't the market doesn't come out, but it does come up in future big mega expansions like the Innkeeper expansion and the Village expansion. And some other stuff we have coming, and those are going to be kind of a little bit more of an advanced Tavern Masters. And when I say advanced, I don't mean more complex per se. It's just it adds a lot more player agency, because the markets let you buy tokens for things and whatnot, so you don't have to get worried about, oh well, I just need an ale and I haven't got one for 5 turns. You can just buy one for 2 gold. But again, that's future expansions, and it's all balanced within each expansion. But they're also still meant to where you can literally shuffle them all together and play. It might be a big stack, it might be a number of big stacks, but I make them all to where you can play any expansion with the base just by itself, or you can add in as many other expansions as you want.
Now, Matt, we don't have a solid date for these. We are going to be running a Kickstarter campaign, so
probably first quarter. Even if it's near the end of first quarter, probably first quarter of 2021 is when we're aiming for the Kickstarter campaign.
Well, I mean, because we have a couple of options for delivery on these. We just haven't really nailed it down yet. But that's probably a pretty good segue into talking about one of the other games. Yeah, Staves. One of the other games that we have coming up. That the art that I've seen so far is rad. It's rad.
Oh yeah, Aaron did some great art. It's really super cool,
and
I can't wait to show it off.
I've seen a little bit of it, and it's super cool. And one of my favorite things in the fantasy world is the different types of staves that wizards, mages, battle mages, what have you, anywhere from Forgotten Realms to Dragonlance, even into 40K stuff, the different types of staves that different magic users or elementalists or clerics that they have, and the personalization that some authors or content creators give to these guys has always been very interesting to me. That's why Staves really stands out to me, as well as the gameplay, because it's going to be a real quick dueling game. But you can play up to 6 people.
Yeah, it plays up to 6 people, and it's a kind of a strategy game in a way, but it's also easy to work with. I mean, basically, you're working with the other players at the table, building magical staves to sell, because you're all stave makers, and so you're playing sections of the staff, or you're choosing where you might have an end piece to a staff and finish it off and claim the points. We'll get more into how it's played, but it's a simple, fun game, and the best part is the victory points are gold from Elderon. So that means if you've got the metal gold coins, from Tavern Masters, you'll be able to use those as replacement tokens too. Like I said, we got a lot of games coming where these are, the same currency that's used in the other games. So,
and if you don't have these, you can go to the website that's listed on the Facebook page, as well as on the Twitter and on the Instagram. I'm thinking about starting up a Snapchat for some reason. I don't know.
Shameless self-promotion.
No, that's.
No, I mean the coins.
Oh yeah, we have a ton of these. We have a ton of these to get rid of.
Actually,
I actually have 2 packs for myself, because when I'm playing, I play some homebrew rules. Like if Rebecca doesn't want to play with me, or Wesley doesn't want to play with me, or I'm just sitting at home by myself and I'm bored of video games, I'll sit down and I'll play Tavern Master solo and try to hurt myself by instituting all kinds of very harsh rules like upkeep and stuff like that. We'll get into some of those later. I actually keep 2 packs of these around because even playing solo, I'll run out of coins to put on the table. But they're also nice to have around, and a lot of our future games are going to be utilizing these coins.
Well, some of them, but I mean, like a definite portion of them.
Okay.
I mean, I've got well over 200 game different ideas, you know. And again, I'm not saying all of them are great. I mean, you know, some of them are still in but you know, we're definitely in the, you know, we've at least got another 30 that are pretty much ready to go with the tiniest bit of tweaking and getting the final like pre-production stuff on. So it's all just a matter of how we can get this company going strong, and you know, the better we do, the more we're able to put out. So that's the fun part.
So as it stands right now, we're looking Q1 for fairies and staves.
Yeah, they'll probably come out in the same Kickstarter, so that, you know, it gives Staves a chance to get some, you know, backing from people that are looking to get the Tavern Masters stuff too. But also it gives it, you know, Staves gives a new game for people to look at, whereas, you know, if we're just running a Kickstarter for you know, and like the third or fourth expansion for Tavern Masters,
it limits us down, and we're limitless.
Yeah,
so.
we want to be able to offer something for everybody, but also as part of that Kickstarter will be the Tavern Signs expansion. Now we haven't finalized the card backs yet. This is just something I'm playing. Yeah, you know, that I put together for the prototypes. But these are basically kind of. They would go in the place of character cards almost, you know, because they kind of like you get to pick one at the beginning of the game, and then.
Well, I mean,
and then it
your
affects your tavern the whole
your
time.
Character. Your tavern really is your character.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a character card for your tavern.
And a special thanks to Rick Van Dyke. This was something I had been kicking around for a while, and then he actually came up with more of the idea of this type of format to help me kind of consolidate my ideas. And so, special shout out to him. Thanks for that. Big love to you and the whole crew at the drafting table.
Yay, we like those guys.
Oh, yeah. So, for instance, like here's the Statesman. You'll notice it has a Dirty Deeds symbol, right? So it has 2 things. So plot and scheme, which means draw 2 additional Dirty Deed cards each round, and bring a friend. You can draw 1 additional patron this round if you played a noble. Now,
I'm trying to find my favorite one.
Oh yeah, there's so many fun ones.
Oh yeah, there is.
Oh yeah,
because I'm kind of I'm a rogue in real life and in gaming. I like to play the Branded Eye. Thugs welcome. You may play thugs from your hand for free, but I lose soldiers at the end of every round. But I mean, that kind of takes away a lot of my a lot of abilities to have some of the nobles that I like to play. However, having thugs in there allows me to play a lot of the dirty deeds that I like to do. I know it's kind of hard to do, but I like to play Tavern Masters as strategically as possible. So, one of the great things I like about the the Tavern Signs deck is that it kind of bottlenecks you in certain areas and kind of makes you rethink the way that you play the game.
Yeah, like here's another one of my favorites: the Pale Maidens, Pail. Fresh dairy. You may play cheese and dairy from your hand for free. No guild. You may not play any cards with the name guild to this tavern. So, you know, just fun little things that, like, you know, just kind of give you a little bit more of an idea of what your tavern is, if you don't already have some kind of idea. I know a lot of people that, you know, they already have the idea of, oh, this is my tavern, and you know, of course, sometimes you see how the cards lay out too. That's
every time I play it. I'm always I role play my tavern in my head. I role play it, and what I do is, like, as I'm building my tavern, I start seeing that I have, you know, I've got a bunch of sailors in here. I better start playing some fish. Let's play some fish. Oh, look, I can get the cat burglar. Oh, I'm a pirate's tavern, not just a sailor's tavern. Okay, well, let's lean into that, and I just become kind of a scummy guy. I serve watered down nonsense, and I serve, you know,
Frog.
you know. We really like having our orc bartender, and he's one of those orcs that's just, you know, has a low intelligence, but he's nice and burly, and he's good for menial tasks, which is just basically pouring booze for people.
And you're the kind of salty guy that probably has pork cannons up on top of your tavern too, right?
Yes, 10-inch Rodmans.
They make
It's
a
funny
loud
because my last
report.
name is Rodman, and there's a cannon called the 10-inch Rodman.
It's true.
Okay, so that's what we have planned coming up for Tavern Masters, and then we also talked a little bit about Staves. This is just kind of a surface level introduction to some of the things that we're going to be talking more and more about as we get closer to them. One that's a little bit further off, that it's the one that I mentioned earlier that actually got me hooked into working for Dan and getting interested in games, and that's one that we've played that we've had marathon sessions playing it, and it's Lord of the Night.
Ah, yeah.
Lord of the Night.
Well, specifically, Lord of the Night, Feast of Blood.
Yes, it's the first in the series of Lord of the Night games, Feast of the Flesh. And
Feast of Blood.
Feast of Blood.
Feast of Flesh.
Feast of Flesh.
And Feast of Souls.
Feast of Souls. So Feast of Blood is first.
Yeah, it's a vampire game. The first one's a vampire game. That's Feast of Blood.
Yeah.
The second one takes you into the woods, and it's the werewolves, Feast of Flesh. And then, of course, the third is the cultists. So you got Feast of Souls.
And then there's a fourth expansion that we're not really ready to talk about because,
hunters.
it's monster hunting.
But we'll
and
get
stuff
more
like
into that soon. In fact,
But,
we're
yeah.
going to have some gameplays of that. That's a game I've been working on for the past 8-9 years probably. It's gone through 9 different incarnations, and now it's like ready.
It's ready.
It could have been ready three iterations ago, but I just kept making it better and better because I wanted it to work flawlessly, perfectly. You know, and it's a good strategy game too. It's
Oh God, yeah.
it's a nice blend of Euro and American style.
It's a minion. It's a worker placement game.
It's sort of a worker placement game, but your workers can also fight for their placements.
That's true.
And stuff.
This
And
is also true.
It's a resource management game, but the resource is humans and the blood they give you.
Now
It's a fun game.
like
and
Dana
that
said,
takes place in the Darklands, which is actually another part of the world of Destiny. It's kind of our gothic fantasy area.
Yeah.
So,
and that's one that that we've been starting to talk a little bit more about because Lord of the Night is going to be the next that's going to introduce you guys to a new part of Destiny. So we going to kind of flesh that out, and the characters that exist in the game. I've taken a real liking to thinking and kind of writing about one of the characters in there, and just the way that the game plays is going to allow for a lot of you guys that played like Vampire the Masquerade, or you played like live action role playing games involving vampires, or just really into vampires. It's going to be really fun to think about how you're going to take your character from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, where they become the master of the universe, or
the Lord of the Night.
The Lord of the Night, yes.
And yes, for any of you anime fans out there, even though it's not based on anything, the obvious, like for me, the first big inspiration for that game was Vampire Hunter D, the classic. I mean, so if you like stuff like Vampire Hunter D, you like stuff like Vampires, Vampire the Masquerade, or Interview with the Vampire, I think you'll really enjoy this fantasy vampire game.
I mean, because when I do play as Belladonna Strix, she's very cold and uncaring. I mean, that's the way the game is played. It's very visceral. It's very vampires are very cold and very straight to the point. They'll either kill you, enthrall you, or use you as a plaything, or stalk you. You get that actual feeling of,
or kidnap you and take you to their herd
and hang on to you for a little bit and then sacrifice you. But it's like you get that feeling of uncaring about humans, and you start caring about your minions that are actually other lesser vampires, and just the story that your character has to go through to get from the beginning of the game to becoming the Lord of the Night. It's nail biting, but I think the shortest game we've ever played was probably an hour and a half, and that was when Robbie was doing his stuff, his thing.
Yeah.
But and even then, Robbie still didn't win. Dan won because we were trying to figure out how to get around.
I don't win all the time, by the way. Don't let
like once.
Yeah, so, I mean, I very frequently lose my own games a lot. So, but
He murders me at Tavern Masters. He murders me at Tavern Masters. So I mean, so we have the Fairies expansion, Staves,
Tavern Signs,
Tavern Signs.
Because Tavern
Lord of
Signs
the
is an
Night.
add-on, kind of like the Tavern menu deck is an add-on. It's just be a nice, small, little, simple, because you can add it to anything. So.
Yeah. So you guys, if you have any suggestions of things that you want to see, if, like Dan has already said, we're planning on doing a live playthrough. Well, maybe not a live playthrough, but a playthrough of Lord of the Night and filming it. There could be a lot of filler in there because
we might have a chance to edit.
Yeah, because Robbie and I usually spend a good amount of time screaming at each other because of the way Robbie plays the game. And we want to keep it family friendly, so we'll probably edit out a lot of the obscenities we scream at each other, which we don't want that. So yeah, guys, if and we have, like Dan said, we have a catalog of games. We'll probably, every now and then when we do this, we'll just pull out and start talking about one of them, which was Game Lords or, Shadow Hackers.
Oh, yeah. We're going to definitely show off all the different prototypes I've been playing with for years.
Wizard's Labyrinth. That's one that
Wizard's Labyrinth.
I haven't seen that one yet, and he's got a working prototype of it, and it's actually one of the cooler ones that I've thought about.
I haven't played it in like 5 years.
Oh, wow. But right now we're working really heavily on one that's not necessarily in the fantasy world of Destiny. It's in kind of another IP that Dan and Crystal have, and
we have as a company.
We all have. Yeah, it's one of the other IPs that we have called Stars of Destiny, which the world of Destiny actually exists in the Stars of Destiny, but it's big expansive universe that you can exist in.
It's our sci-fi setting.
And we're looking at kind of when Dan and I start talking about it, we the obvious connection, especially right now, is Cyberpunk. With the
that Cyberpunk, we have I imagine we'll more develop our Cyberpunk style IP because I've always loved that whole. I played Rifts for ages. I played Shadowrun too.
I love.
And of course I played Vampire the Masquerade, which in its own way, especially with the punk elements of the early Vampire, had kind of a cyberpunk feel to it in a way.
Yeah, and Cyberpunk really is one of my favorite settings. So
we're gonna have a whole IP just devoted to that dystopian megacorp future. Because there's lots of stories to tell there. That's what I make the games for: is to tell stories and to bring people together to share them around the table.
Yep.
What can I say?
And and Dan's actually kind of inspired me. I've actually been kind of working on a small game of my own that's a Western, based on some of the things. Yeah. So, guys, we're gonna start being a little bit more active in the Tavern Masters Gaming Guild, and on the page. If you guys...
you're going to see a lot more of us. Be prepared to be annoyed with my face.
I promise next time I will have my hair cut and my face all trimmed up.
All scruffy.
I'm looking all scruffy right now. It's the end of the year. My birthday's coming up, so...
Yes.
Poor
man shares a birthday with Jesus.
Yeah. But guys, do not be afraid to ask us questions on the page. Shoot us a message. You can shoot me a message personally if you want. Teej Rodman on Facebook. I'm always looking for more people to talk to and get out of doing work at my day job. So guys, if you ever have any questions or any suggestions, and guys, we have some cards that don't have the little quips at the bottom. So we may start doing a little thing in the Gamer Guild, the Tavern Masters Gamer Guild. We may start doing a little thing in there where we'll post some artwork for a card and have you guys give us puns. Help us with the puns.
We love our flavor text.
As it says at the bottom of some of the cards, hit me with your best pun. So we may do something like that. So I mean, we're here for you guys. We want to make games for you to enjoy, but we also want to be we also
make games for us to enjoy. We make the games that we like, and it just seems like you guys like it too. So that's amazing.
We look at Dan and Kriss Games as more of a community type thing. So we want you guys to be as involved as you want to in this process, and Dan, I'm going to convince Dan to let me film one of the sessions where we sit there and talk about lore, where we sit and talk about the actual development of a game.
Yeah,
and stuff
totally.
Like that.
I want to have guys more involved. It's always been a problem of setting and or internet. For years we were out in the woods where just no internet, no signal hardly. So that was fun.
Now we're in the metropolis of Beaumont, Texas.
Yep. But man, this place we got, I can't wait to show it off to you guys. It's been crazy trying to get into this place, but when it's all fixed up, it is going to be an amazing new DKG headquarters, and I can't wait. Like we've been waiting for the gas to be turned on for a month now.
Yeah.
So, but that means hopefully it's going to be turned on in a couple of days. So we'll be moving right before Christmas.
Nice. Yay. So guys, that's basically it for the first night. We're gonna get together with you guys next week, and we're gonna go ahead and start talking about what we're gonna do next week. It may be where I may actually pull some stuff out and show you some other games that we're working on. We may talk a little bit more about Tavern Masters. We may talk about games that we're not even doing, but we're just gonna get on and talk to you guys for a little bit, talk about games, and talk about Dan Kriss games, and go from there and see what you guys have to say about it.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys.
Fun. Thanks so much. Y'all be safe out there. Have a very happy holiday. I'm guessing we'll see you before Christmas. But if not, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
And all of the other wonderful celebrations. And, of course, Blessed Yule coming up.
Blessed Yule.
So we'll see you guys soon. Be safe. We love you.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.